Another honor I get today is to introduce this morning's speaker, Keith Yandell. So Keith and I have known each other a long time, come a long way in our company, and today he serves as our Executive Vice President of Innovation here at FORTE. Moved from a practice leader years ago to what he is today in leading our innovation team, transforming our offers to align with workplace transformation and AI, artificial intelligence. I like to say the word, because we always talk about AI. Most recently, he's expanded these practices internationally or globally, integrating the FORTE Microsoft practice, which we built in 2017 and brought into our business and acquisition, extending innovation and thought leadership to customers across Europe and beyond. It's interesting what we're seeing worldwide. And we bring that worldwide expertise and vision that we see from customers all over the world into the US and vice versa. Many learnings we can offer you today. His presentation will share how organizations can scale and design applications, integrated technology environments, and leverage AI to support smarter, more resilient workplaces. Smarter. It's not AI for just personal productivity, but what can it do for you in your classroom or in your corporate conference space? Following this discussion, we're going to give away several prizes today that Josh and I are going to be here on stage that our sponsors contributed for today's event. I want to make sure you stick around. You must be present to win. So I get to be part of that great fun. But let's welcome Keith Yandell, our Executive Vice President of Innovation, to the stage with a warm round of applause. Keith?
Thank you, Don. That was a pretty impressive introduction. I don't know that I kind of warrant such a fancy introduction, but I'm excited to be here, and I'm really excited to have a packed house. We were a little worried about the construction outside and thought it might get in the way of you all getting in here, so thank you for joining us this morning. I'm going to cover the modern workplace blueprint. Hopefully the takeaways here you can bring into your businesses and really see some acceleration and some return with AI. Just got back from Integrated Systems Europe, and I'm excited to share some of the things that I just learned, that we just learned together at ISE. We modified this presentation a bit to weave in some, this just in kind of data points for you all. Don touched on this a little bit, but a little bit of who we are and how we do what we do. We talked about our reorganization of our practices, workplace strategy, intelligent workplace, and digital workplace, also mission-critical solutions. Within the workplace strategy stack, we combine collaboration, so the room systems you all work in every day, and the platforms that they run on. Give you an idea of what's encompassing there. Intelligent workplace, Microsoft. AI is under the hood of everything that we do. Microsoft touches all of your businesses in some way, shape, or form. And then digital workplace, bringing in digital media, experiential spaces, and then broadcast, getting that best-in-class presentation for your leadership teams to your stakeholders in your businesses. And the mission-critical solutions, monitoring and management of that entire estate. In terms of how we engage, consulting and design, followed by systems integration and delivery, and then ongoing care and feeding with managed services. Who here has heard of Frontier Firm, that Frontier Firm designation? This came out last year. And Microsoft didn't invent the term, but they're definitely leveraging the term to identify a company that's embracing AI at all levels. So FORTE is a frontier firm. There's different stages to it, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. We are, let me give you a little insight into what we're doing internally. We're building a tool that we're calling Discovery AI. And Discovery AI has a series of agents that do specific things. As a systems integrator, we have an agent that's really good at deciding which display is appropriate for an application. We have another agent that's really good at understanding what we're trying to accomplish in audio. So these agents, like an agent army, are helping us get better solutions in front of our customers sooner. Now this is just kind of in the pilot phase. We're learning a lot about it. There's things that work most of the time. There's things that work, rarely. So it's kind of in its infancy, but we're working through that. Phase 1 would be AI as an assistant. You're probably most of you doing that today with Copilot. Phase 2 would be a unique agent like I described with a specific feature or function. And then 3 is where we have agents working with agents, led by humans at the top level. So ROI of AI. There's a lot of debate about this topic, like, okay, I think I understand the promise of AI, but what do I really get in return? Well, how does it really move my business forward? So there's really 4 segments we look at. Financial, I'm going to show you an example, again, something I just learned at ISE, where something that's now available to you in Copilot could theoretically eliminate a lot of tools you might already be paying for. Now, it's not there yet, it was just released, but it just gives you an idea of how AI can give us acceleration and plow efficiencies into our business. Productivity. I think we can all agree that there is a level of productivity with Copilot and other AI tools. We can get a lot of the mundane out of the way once we learn how to use these tools. Competition, the big fish eating the little fish. If we don't embrace these tools, we risk being overrun by our competition. You all have competitors in this room that are all trying to scratch at this same riddle and solve for how AI moves our business forward. And then cultural, work-life balance. I have 3 kids, and it's tough. I travel quite a bit, and when I'm home, I want to be home. AI helps me be more present because I can work from anywhere. I can leverage these tools to make myself more available for my family when I'm home. So that brings in the whole cultural aspect of it. Show of hands, who here is still, I don't suspect to see many of you, hopefully I didn't scare you away from raising your hands, who here is at level 0? Oh, okay, we've got a few. Who here is using Copilot just to maybe replace what they were using Google for, right, as a search engine, right? You can get right to the answer really quickly. Who here has started to fiddle around with agents and build specific tools? Yeah, some of you. And now how about agent to agent, kind of the penultimate? Yep, we've got a few. So this gives you an idea of that frontier firm designation, that graduated scale, moving from, man, I don't trust this thing at all, don't know where to start, to now I have agents working with other agents. I've developed my own workforce, helping me be better and faster at what I do. To make sure we align ourselves with what our customers are looking for us to solve, we ran a survey when AI meets reality in the meeting room. Over 500 participants in the survey, 83% of whom are primary decision makers. 3 main points: how collaboration technology is used today, where adoption falls short, and how leaders are prioritizing investment. So what did we find out from this survey? Top of the list was reliability. There's a lot of cool AI tools that make a lot of promises, but they're still fairly brittle in the meeting space. Who here would agree that we've got reliability issues? Yeah. It's getting better all the time, but it's not where it needs to be. Core platform functionality. So if there's a feature in Teams that you like to leverage, that feature should be available to you in every room you go into. So core platform is now baseline expectation. Environment aware. So new technologies, automatic framing, can help us adjust for what's going on in the environment. People are people. People do strange things. They stand up, they sit down, they walk around. So environment-aware AI technologies help improve far-end experiences. Workforce productivity. So think of this on the IT side. IT managers of this technology, what's the ROI for them? Less trouble tickets because AI can solve for, say, audio issues in a room, lighting issues in a room. It can do some automatic adjustment to improve quality, reducing tickets. Employee experience, that's really why we do what we do. You all are in a race to attract and retain the best talent in your businesses, and AI can absolutely create that environment to do so. Measurable outcomes, though, to get to where you can truly measure ROI, a lot of times that requires you to go all in on a platform. Going all in on a platform can put pressure on budgets. Budgets theoretically have to increase to get to where you can get that visibility into how your estate is performing. Okay, agent boss advantage. Some of you may have already seen this. We're going to take a little bit different take on it, but this is going to give you maybe a visual into that level 1, level 2, level 3 frontier firm. So let's say, for conversation, this is a medical devices manufacturer. They have a sales and marketing team, they have an engineering and delivery team, and they have service and support. So at the top layer, those are all humans. They're level 1, so Jane Doe, we're using Copilot as a search engine. John Smart, same thing with Anna Solver. Okay, when they get into level 2, now they're working with agents to give them acceleration into, in this case, the lead research agent by Sherlock, Da Vinci, and then Aristotle. But when those two start to work together, we're now into level 3. So Sherlock working with Gandhi puts better positioning, call it, for Jane in front of her customer, because we're getting feedback right from the field as to what's working and what's not working. We can position ourselves as a trusted advisor for our customer sooner. And then playing that out, Da Vinci worked with Nikola Tesla, and Einstein working with Madame Curie. So some of you might be reminded of the movie Terminator when you see this, because it is a little bit scary as to where this can go, and that's why I always say please and thank you when I'm interacting with AI. So this right here, this is reporting from Microsoft. This is what they found when they started a real co-pilot out into their business, leveraging AI. And I won't go through all of them, but there's a couple of them that stick out. So look at human resources down there towards the bottom. 42% greater accuracy in answering questions through employee self-service. You probably all have SharePoint sites where you have, what's the time off policy, what's vacation, sick, all those things. Well, in the traditional way, you would go into SharePoint and try to find that information, but why couldn't you just have Copilot find it for you? Right? Gets rid of all those clicks. Might make you wonder, do I really need these elaborate SharePoint sites anymore when Copilot could just give me the answer that quick? Marketing, 21.5% increase in conversion rates on Azure.com. So that is better efficiencies in the sales process, converting from opportunity to order, better capture rate using those tools. So you kind of get where this crosses multiple business lines within your organization and the acceleration you see within that. So this is what we added to the presentation that was literally released at the end of January, generally available from Microsoft, scheduling within Copilot. So I'm going to walk through this journey here, and literally as I was standing in front of Brennan with Microsoft saying, hey, this works now, I started to use it right away on my phone, and sure enough, it worked. I kind of had some fun with Craig Goodorf when I did that. So let's start. I asked Copilot, please find a 30-minute slot for Jason Roberts and I to meet next week. So that was the extent of my prompt. And so it might be kind of small font, but you can see what it came back with. Monday, February 16th, 3 to 3:30, 4 to 4:30, or 4:30 to 5. So I had to pick one. So I do, and I say, let's go with the Monday, 3 o'clock slot. The subject of the meeting is takeaways from ISE. The agenda is 1, key takeaways, 2, new from Microsoft, 3, internal messaging, and then 4, next actions. So just via chat, okay? Comes back with confirmation that it captured my request correctly. I hit confirm, and away we go. So in this case, Jason got an invite to a meeting, a Teams meeting, but I say, wait a second, can I add a meeting room to the invite? I would like to meet in the San Diego office. I'm from San Diego, so I said, let's meet in the San Diego office. Now Jason, he lives in Minneapolis, so he's probably ready to get out of the cold. But this was just a test, so I quickly canceled the meeting and said, hey, don't book a flight, you're not coming out. It probably bummed him out. And then it came back with the room that was available, in this case, the Fox training room. I said, yes, please add the Fox training room to the invite, and away we went. So that seems like Copilot should have already been able to do that for a couple of years now, right? Well, it couldn't, because there's actually a lot of things going on in the background to make that work. As simple as this sounds, think about all the tools this potentially replaces and where this heads long term. Is that pretty cool? Yeah, pretty cool. Now, think back to that work-life balance thing we're all challenged with. How many times do you run into a situation where you're like, man, I wish I had my laptop. I need to do this thing, and I can only do it if I have my laptop. Well, now you can do that exact thing. Well, soon. I would say now. Soon. Imagine driving in the car, running the kids to a sporting event or something. Hey, Copilot, blah, 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 blah. Go through that whole workflow. That could be pretty cool. Okay, agents are great, but what else? Let's jump into the AI-powered workplace. There's 3 sections to it. Microsoft says section 1, coordination, section 2, modernization, and then 3, optimization. So coordinate the workforce, understanding where they are, what's available to them, places to meet, and so on. Modernization, to get there, we likely need to modernize some of our technology to make some of these experiences available. And then optimize, how do we understand how we're performing and how do we adjust on the fly to maximize ROI? So with Coordinate, Places, Microsoft Places. Who here is familiar with Places? Who here thinks it's too expensive? Right? Premium licenses, that kind of thing gets really expensive really quick. Well, this just in, if you didn't catch it, if you have E series licenses, E3, E5, Jason, keep me honest, it is included now. So if you have E licenses, you have Places. You merely need to configure it and start to rock and roll. So that's pretty exciting. What is Places, if you're not familiar? It's a way for employees to understand where they are, can establish their work schedules. Let's say you have a mandate, 3 days in the office, 4 days in the office. You can set that up within Places and also identify where you choose to work. Select the desk you want to work from, say. Select the meeting room you want to meet in. If I go back to that Copilot scheduling example where maybe Jason isn't familiar with the San Diego office, you also get a map. So he books his flight, he goes to San Diego, it's 80 degrees, he's excited. He walks into the building, where do I go? Looks on his phone, over there, there's my room, right? So that's productivity, that's real productivity, and Places can do that for us. All right, modernization. To do all those cool things I described may require some new equipment, certain chipsets to get some of these AI functions, bringing intelligence to meetings. So if you see over on the left side, that's an example of AI within a Teams meeting, moving over, identifying voices in Teams rooms. So if you've authenticated yourself with Microsoft, your visual likeness and audio, it can actually pick you off in a room and say, hey, Keith Yandell is flapping his gums. Or the camera can look at me and say, hey, that's Keith Yandell, it looks just like him. You know, so we get that cue that we would normally only get on a personal device on your laptop. We can actually capture that with the right technology in the room. Who here has heard of Facilitator? Facilitator. So Facilitator, I think, is pretty slick, and let me give you an example of a use case. Back to that fictitious medical devices company that had the human agent, the agent-boss relationship. Let's say two engineers bump into each other in the hallway, and they're working on a project together, and they say, man, we got to flush this thing out. Let's get to a whiteboard. Let's jump into this conference room and start to hash through these things. Facilitator, so imagine no meeting scheduled at all, just an available space. They can walk into that room, scan a QR code on the touch panel, an MTR, Microsoft Teams room, and trigger Facilitator to go into action. Now what it's doing is it's taking notes while they sit there and talk inside the room. And because it recognizes Keith talking from Jason talking, it actually keeps track of who committed to what actions in that meeting and sends the meeting minutes, if you will, to whoever started that via QR code scan. So in my case, if I did it, it'd come to me. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Facilitator. And now Town Hall. If you're familiar with Teams live events, it was, I would say, less than perfect. Town Hall is a complete new build. And it's definitely worth a second look to understand what Town Hall does so much better than live events did. And why we want to pay attention to that is once you're in the ecosystem, we want to think about AI from the moment, say, things come into your call centers, so Teams phone, all the way through to the meeting rooms you're solutioning in, all the way to the messaging your executive team leads or presents to your stakeholders and your businesses. So we want to think about that as an ecosystem capturing from the front end all the way through your broadcast messaging. And now optimization. How do we know we're getting it right? How do we know our technology is being consumed? How do we know it's performing well? This is the optimization side of it and how we can adjust on the fly to maximize ROI throughout the estate. So what's next? Quick wins. Don't try to boil the ocean, I would say yet. The trick in that is using pilots. Who here launched Copilot maybe within your organization? We're guilty of what I'm just about to describe. We went down the Copilot path in 2023. We got licenses for everybody, and we had a kickoff kind of campaign in the beginning. It ran about 3 months. And during that 3-month period, we had some adoption. Some people started to embrace the tools, and that kind of stuck. But I would say upwards of half of the organization just said, yeah, that was noise. This is the way I do things. I'm not going to change. I do it this way. I've always done it this way. Don't tell me to do it differently. Which is the normal human behavior, I would say. I'm guilty of it still. So we said, okay, how do we reimagine this and get excitement around these tools and get participation? So we gamified it. We launched what we call Copilot Cup. Copilot Cup, think about like Mario Kart, that kind of thing. And we identified different ways to win. One way to win would be who has the best prompt that solves for a particular problem within FORTE. I see you shaking your head. You guys might have been doing the same thing or about to do the same thing. Then the second one was M365 Copilot, which would be Word, Excel, PowerPoint, those kind of things. And creative uses, create the best use for that. There's also some off-the-shelf agents that Microsoft has, Researcher and Analyst. Researcher, if you haven't used it, is pretty powerful. It will go find the craziest things you set it on. Like, you just go find me X and it'll find it. It's incredible. Analyst is a good tool for taking a massive spreadsheet that nobody wants to spend the time to unpack. Craig, unpack. And then get it down to a digestible level of data. It's really good for that. And then the last leg of competition was create an agent that solves for a particular problem in the business. And our finance team got really excited. They're all in. They're just imagining all these different ways to be more efficient in what they do. And we're giving them some like real rewards like Apple Vision Pros and some legit prizes because we want to get people to really engage. So that's a long way of saying change management, user adoption. I imagine many of your organizations have change management groups within, but what I'm describing is an approach to change management to get people to embrace technology and try things differently. I'm building a business case. So why do I need to invest in all these licenses or this modernization of technology? Our architects can help you do that. We do that all day long for our customers to help understand what does this actually do for my business. So feel free to engage any one of us. Risks and readiness. You can't just flip the switch on these tools. There's security things to be considered. So definitely understand what you don't know before you do something. We can help you with that. And then roadmap discussions. It's all about pilots. Start small. Start with a subset of your business to really flesh out what you think you're going to get out of it before you go all in across the organization. All right. That's the end of that part of the presentation. I'm going to go through a little bit of housekeeping on what you guys can experience today at our event. So you heard Don mention Innovation Park. So what is Innovation Park? It's in the middle. It's just across the hall. It's in the middle of the show floor. Kind of wrapped within, our partners are wrapping us all around. This is in the center of the section. One of the first experiences you have available to you is velocity. Who here has heard of velocity? A couple of you. Who here would agree that us systems integrators have been complicating things like unnecessarily so for far too long? Yeah. If it can do it, man, because AV is art, we're going to pack as many features in there as we can, and only the person that programmed it knows how to use it, right? We're done with that. That's not acceptable anymore. A lot of that was solved for when MTR came around because the platform drove the user experience. Well, this takes things to the next level. Velocity, it's better understood as a logistics program because the platform sets the experience. MTR sets the experience. You need cameras, you need video bars, you need displays, you need mounts, those types of things to bring that experience to life. But what we heard from our customers is, man, guys, just stop making it so complex. So Velocity is our factory to field, we call it logistics program. There's two flavors of it. There's Velocity Preferred, which is like going down and buying a Honda Civic. It's a Honda Civic, let it be a Honda Civic, okay? And we have that across different manufacturers depending on your preference, both on the display side and the platform side. But that is a fixed, small, medium, and large approach. Have it in 10 days, guaranteed national price. Let's get out of our way and go. So that's preferred. Exclusive is you all may have your own recipes that you arrived at for any number of reasons. On the education side, you might have meeting room recipes that are very specific for instructors that need to go in there and do pre-flight or something before they're going into a classroom. Just guessing, but I'm guessing you guys have your own standards. Well, and you need maybe those delivered at scale. Maybe standards for your classrooms you need delivered at scale. We can onboard those standards into our Velocity program and then give you a guaranteed price every time you order one and say, we're going to get it to you in X number of days, whatever makes sense for your business, we can crank them out. And that's national, coast to coast. Velocity was also just launched globally. So Velocity is available in key markets in Europe now. Platforms, the platforms team, everything we do rides on a platform. Maybe it's Teams, maybe it's Zoom, maybe it's WebEx, maybe it's Google. So our platforms team can help you understand our capabilities there as well as interoperability between those platforms. Managed services, everything we do requires care and feeding. Also, how do we understand we're getting ROI on our investments? So the managed services team is ready to talk all about that and how we can co-deliver services together. Who takes 1 and 2? Do you just need us for 3? Are we integrating our ServiceNow instances? Do we need on-site staff? The managed services team can walk through every bit of that. Program management. When we deliver at scale, that looks more like a program than it does a project. Program management is how we give you that pizza tracker-like experience for everything Forte is doing for you. All the different rooms you might be delivering around the nation or the globe, that's program management. Microsoft. So we touched on some Microsoft pieces in this presentation. Places demonstrations, if you guys want to look at what we're doing with Copilot, everything's on the table. Come by the Microsoft booth, we're ready to give you demonstrations. Broadcast. I touched on executive broadcast. We have a demonstration there. Our leaders of our organizations typically are not technical. You're lucky to get them to push one button. So imagine being able to have that leader look professional as if they're like calling in from a newsroom to your entire workforce via webinar, and all that leader was expected to do was walk into our studio, hit one button, and start talking. That's the level of automation we're working on for broadcast experiences for executive broadcast, and we can give you that demonstration if you come by there. Feet get tired, come hang out in the lounge. And then also we have a presentation area, not as big as this, handful of seats there, but we have some scheduled talks that we're going to present to you all. And here is as scheduled. I touched on it earlier this morning. 10:30 to 10:45 program management. 11:30 to 11:45 velocity. So that'll be a deep dive into the velocity program that I just kind of described at a high level. 1:30 to 1:45 managed services, and then 2:30 to 2:45 Microsoft. If you haven't scanned that QR code, please do so. It'll give you access to our app. It'll give you a map, as well as this schedule, where to be and when to be there. That's it for me. Thank you again to Crestron for sponsoring this keynote.